Thank you for joining us. This is Pilot Review for Star Trek Online. This is Scott Ross that's speaking, and I have joining me today again, Timberwolf.
How's it going, guys?
So today, due to the fact that we didn't have any submissions that are going on, we're going to still go on to some few things here, um, going into some details of what you can be doing to help yourself out during the missions, because these are some things that the game doesn't tell you about. And some things that you get when you start a new ship, typically. Um, I also wanted to touch light bases on for those people who are in the DPS challenge for yourself, where you're pushing yourself to see how high you can get your DPS in, like ISA, for example. Um, there has been a little bit of, I guess we call it drama, for lack of a better word. We're not going to get into it too far. I will say this much. If you want to hear the story, please go to reddit.com/r/stow, and there will be the official, here's what's going on with that. There's already a couple of things that's been posted on that. It's also on the Stow forums and on the official DPS website. And that website is dps.shivtr.com. So it's shivtr.com. Please go there to get the full story, know what's going on with it. If you are a part of the league and you've noticed that you've been kicked out of some channels, you've not really been kicked out. It's just a couple issues between and amongst the admins. So just want to make sure you're aware of this. For those who are wondering about your parsing, I'm going to dig into this. So currently, the person who created the parsing, Omega Shocker, from what I've been told from talking with the DPS admins, they are unable to get a hold of him to discuss a few things with it. It is still a free software that is available for everyone to be able to download. They are still letting people use it and be able to get your channel invites, even though they're going to have to go to the DPS table to be able to pull that information, so they can then add you on the channels. They are currently in the process of fielding out a new DPS parser that they can officially claim to be theirs, rather than having to worry about someone leaving and taking it with them when they go. So this is one of those things to keep on the news and aware of. It is coming. Just give time. So that is some of the information I know about the DPS. And like I said, we're not going to go into it. It is not really what this is about. This is about helping you become a better pilot, and so that you can defeat those nasty Cardassians or those Borg that you can never seem to beat, because they seem to tractor you in and then blow you up with a bunch of torpedoes, along with the Romulans, if you're facing Romulans in your missions. So that's what this is about. This is about making it so that the game is not so much of a challenge for you, and is actually something more enjoyable. That is our goal, our focus. If DPS is to help you all to enjoy the game a little more, and you want to get from that 10K to the 30K to the 50K to 75K, we're there to help you out, and we will do what we can to help you move up a step, so that you are able to accomplish those purposes. And we have the knowledge, we have the information to be able to do just that. But like I said, our goal is to help remove some barriers that you may find and be able to move on with it. There will be a couple things we'll be doing here today. I'm going to show you a basic build. This is not necessarily optimal for any ship. This is definitely a setup. I will point this out. I did this on purpose. The tactical consoles, they're all purple, all crafted consoles, but they're anti-proton versus a plasma. Okay.
Oh, hey.
Timberwolf's over here that's like, I don't like this. I don't like this.
I can't help it.
But, this is one of those things that if you're coming across and you're grabbing all the tactical consoles that you can as they come up, you may not necessarily be getting the same energy type as your weapons. here's one thing I want to make sure to point out. Your tactical consoles, even though they are giving damage, you need to be watching out saying what kind of damage they're giving. In this case, they're giving 11.2 antiproton damage. They're not benefiting your weapons. They're not benefiting anything that you have. I even have this torpedo console here, which does quantum torpedoes. So even that's not going to benefit your plasma torpedoes because it's a different kind of energy type that you're buffing for. So please remember this as you're picking your weapons and you're getting your random drops, what items you're going for. You could mix and match these and put different types of energy types in here, and then put different types of energy weapons in here. But please remember, when you do something like that, if you only have, like, for example, if I only put one antiproton item in there and we'll just remove these, and let's say I pull out, get rid of the plus beams, but I got plus disruptors for locators here, okay? So I'm be benefiting my disruptors. If I only had one disruptor and I only have one antiproton and I put in a console specifically to that one item, that's not necessarily being optimal for what's going on here. You're buffing for one thing. You're not buffing for what's best for the overall ship performance. And that's what you really need to be looking at, is your energy type that you have for your weapons. In this case, it's plasma. And your tactical consoles, which in this case is not optimal. In this case here, this build is not giving any sort of boost to my weapons. My weapons is what they're going to be at the base, and that's going to be it. And that's one of the biggest things I see people doing, is they will equip a console because it's a tactical console, even if they may not have that particular energy type equipped. So that's one of the things that I wanted to point out, and it's one of those things that will keep you from doing a whole heck of a lot. We'll go into it in a second here, and we'll show you live here what happens when you have one energy type and you're buffing for another. You will not do very well, and in this case, I've also got it balanced. So while having it at balanced powers may seem well and beneficial at the time, it really isn't doing a whole lot. Show you here real quick. This is, okay, I thought I changed that. Let me change it back. Dual heavy cannon back in there. There we go. So here we've got a dual heavy cannon, plasma, that's got a 706 damage right now. That's with the bonus, after the energy bonus from all the things that I have on right now. Remember, my consoles is not boosting this at 1 bit. If I take this up, so that's at max on the energy weapons, which is what this far left one is for your energy weapons. That 706 now becomes 1,248 with 100% energy towards power. I'm going to go into showing you exactly what happens when you have it at balance versus having it with 100% towards the powers. I want you to be able to see what's going on and some of the differences that happens. Here's one of the other things I see a lot is I see these bridge officer abilities here that are based upon one thing. Okay, I expect to blow up. I'm gonna put this out. I expect to blow up. I don't expect to do all that great here, and part of it is because I am talking as I'm trying to explain some of the stuff. So I wasn't able to throw any heals on. I wasn't able to fully utilize things. If you are having some of these issues where you can't feel like you're making any headway, if you noticed, I don't know if any of you once saw it, but it was still very low on what I had done. I had not really touched it at all. And this is a Scimitar attack ship, so it's not like it is incredibly strong or powerful. Still 99%, 98. Okay, here I am at 62%. So this is one of those things that you need to remember. If you're not paying attention, that's bound to happen. But if you don't have your most optimal things going on, you could end up very well seeing this as your forefront of what happens to you personally. I want to make sure that sometimes I end up playing on, I'm on advanced difficulty. So I get damaged as a result. Now, we saw what happens with the powers of balance. Let me do this real quick. I got my powers at 100% here now. I think, did you catch how much we had them down to, Timber? I think we had them down to 96.
I believe so.
So I'm trying to see if we can get it down a little further. Here's 96, 95. We might even have them down to 95. Zoom out a little bit so we can actually see.
You have a guest, sir.
I have a guest. Who's the guest?
Well, I think they know you, and I think you know them.
There's a lot of guests. All right. Managed to blow them up. Got a little distracted changing windows. Who's the guest?
The one that's coming off of your microphone.
Oh, that would be my little daughter here. That's who that guest is.
Yeah, that's what I was leading to.
I thought you were talking on one of the groups there. So, just changing the power levels alone made a heck of a difference. I mean, it took 2 shots, and after 2 shots, I barely even got him scratched on the surface. And maxing out the power weapons made a huge difference. Sorry about that. Just doing a quick thing here. All right, but anyways, maxing out the powers made a quick difference so that he's actually able to kill the ship, and that alone is great. But let's look into it from another angle here. I'm going to actually put in all my weapons that is max, and I'm going to point this out as you see me putting in a bunch of epic stuff. Know this right now, at this point in time, epic stuff is not necessary to do anything. You don't have to get it up to epic. I played all the way up to level 50 with the standard weapons that you can get from the ship weapons requisition spot. Okay, I did not have any fancy epic stuff that I used to level up my captains that was lower. This is just to show you the difference between having a weapon type for your tactical consoles that matches your energy type. You notice the only difference here in the end here really is the kinetic cutting beam, which is not antiproton. It is a kinetic cutting. I'm not putting in any of my other consoles, but just off of that alone, I'm at 2,000 damage. And without these consoles, just for quick reference, without these consoles, it's 1446 without the consoles. So it's an amazing difference when you get your weapons. You get the boost from just the consoles. You get the boost from your weapons power. All that helps out, and it makes a huge difference in what you can actually do. I'm going to leave these skills here because it's still part of what's going on. Although that's kind of worthless here because it's behind me that it's launching it. But here's one of those things, I'm at 95% and I'm got him down to 22, and there he goes right now. So 96, I still can turn and kill another ship. Okay. We're not having any issues. We're not seeing any difficulties. Using the pilot skills here. I chose the pilot ship because it is so much fun. Simple as that. I can't get away from that. I enjoy it so much because of all the things that it can do. Now, this is one of the ships that I hear a lot of people complain about is they can't kill the Galar ships. I'm at level 60, so this guy is obviously maxed with me. And this is also the advanced realm of things, so this isn't like your typical run-of-the-mill stuff. So that's one of the things just to be aware of is if you're playing on normal, you may not have as much issues. If you just match your weapons with the tactical console so they all match up and line up, and you do what I've done here where you got the same type of weapons, you're going to see a significant increase in what you're doing right then and right there. I promise you on this. You will not have any issues with anything that's going on.
Yeah, you'd be surprised just matching up consoles on just damage base, even if they're not Spire. I mean, you hear a lot about Spire consoles. Just running your standard consoles you can craft will be so much better for you in the long run if they're matching your energy types. And it's something that you don't really have to try for it. They're easy to craft, and Mark IIs are enough to start off as a basis that it'll make a huge difference for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's something very simple. The stuff that you see a lot of us running, for us that run high DPS, it's taken us months to save up for a lot of that gear. But we started in the exact same spot that you guys did, and I perfectly remember at one point on one of my builds, I would have an energy console and two different types of torpedo consoles, one quantum and one transphasic, because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. And then when I switched to all of one type, it made a world of difference. I couldn't have imagined the type of difference, and it's something very, very simple.
Yep, that's one of those biggest things that you have to take in mind. Now, you've seen what happens when you don't have everything. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. I can't change my traits, unfortunately. I'm kind of stuck in my traits.
And hello, Darth Womp. If I said that right, Darth Womp. Thank you for joining the chat.
Definitely appreciate it. It's always welcoming to see people join us and enjoy the things that we offer and the information that we're giving. I have to remember where everything is sometimes. Unfortunately, I'm not very fluent on things, but you get things as they come and as they are. Let's see if I remember exactly my setup that I have. Actually, I don't think I had Dicrook. Now, some of these is not going to really matter in the end because, like, Dyren gives you damage against Borg, so I don't have any Borg that I'm fighting. And there is a bug I've noticed is you can't, once you got some active duty officers going, you can't go below 3 for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, it won't let you go below the 3.
That's strange.
That's what I thought. Let's get in my final thing that's actually going to make Dyren, or not Dyren, but Marion actually worth using, and that's the energy model DIM 3. Now, I don't have my trays maxed out and buffed up to be perfectly done. I'm not worried about that.
We are glad that you have felt that way about the videos, Darth Womp, and I'm sure Scott is the same way. And I personally, even though I am a little biased, I hope they keep going.
I'm very biased. I like to see these continue going. What we need to really keep going, besides us talking, I like to rather not talk about some of these things that makes a better build, but rather like to go into people's builds so that we can really help out everyone that's out there to make their better builds and to actually be more effective in what you're doing, because there's so many different things and so many different ways that we can help you besides showing you some of these tips and tricks of how to do things. So that's one of those things that I hope we can eventually get enough of to do this on a regular basis. At this point, we're kind of filling in things until we do get those things. Now, if you compare this, what I just did now of taking on a Galer, switching over to some attack ships, and then switching back to the Galer, you take all that into account of what was going on before, where a attack ship was killing me without question, losing only 3 to 4% total damage. That is one of those things that is. This is what happens when you get a build that is all in sync of itself. And like I said, this may be a very optimal build, a very top level, high end thing, but it is not necessary to do this mission. As I said I was going to do earlier, I'm going to show you a captain that I have. And this captain was part of a personal challenge that I did. And all the videos on this personal challenge is up on my YouTube. So you're welcome to go there. There's 18 hours worth of video, so you're not going to watch it in one sitting. I promise you, unless you got a day off and you're really, really bored and you got YouTube that you're just ready to stream day in and day out, this is something that you may not necessarily have to do. This captain, I think we can agree on, is not as optimal as my other build. I'm still using a Jem'Hadar shield. I got the fleet thing, but it's only a fleet core, but it's only level 12. Jem'Hadar combat engine, and then a level 12 positron deflector that's got it's got a flow cap times 2. My weapons are all Mark X or Mark 10. Only 2 of them are epic level. This is not what I would call an ideal in-level epic with a crit D times 2 crit H pen, but it works enough to still be satisfiable, especially for a Federation captain who only has 23.1 crit chance. Okay, this is still a heck of a lot of chance for anything. Nothing to laugh at. And then this one is a crit D times 4. So it is definitely an ideal in-level item. The preference for a lot of people, especially in the higher DPS realm of things, would be something a little similar. I know I have one on this captain. Where is it at? Apparently I don't have it. The ideal would be a crit D times 3 pen. And even more ideal would be having that to epic so you get an extra little damage boost as that concerned. Now, when I leveled up, like I said, I used the standard items that came out of the ship weapon requisitions. Once I got to level 50, here's what I did in my weapons. I went to the exchange. I looked for Phaser Mark 12 with the single crit D, so an uncommon green weapon. I used those plus these items that was in my setup here. Okay, these are all Mark 12 when I used it. Mark 12. Everything was Mark 12. The only thing that was different is I had another console here that I've switched over to the captain I was just on. At Mark 12 Crit D Common, I had got 17K DPS in an ISA pug run. And to explain it, the pug run, that is coming here to the PVU queues. It's a pickup group. It's just, you have no choice in who you're picking. The group is randomly selecting 5 people that it's putting you with who queues up for the same instance. So in that instance, I got 17K. Once I proved that I could get that, I joined the 10K channel, and I was able to get 33K after that. Now, I want to point this out. This is not because of the weapons. A Crit D uncommon weapon with this particular setup. This is, I mean, someone on the Twitch channel is saying that I got 2 Beamfire Worlds. Yes, I do. This is not an Aux to Bat setup. I chose this particular setup because I wanted to really push myself to be a challenge. I've gone with some different things that most people would not use on this kind of a ship in the first place. But with that Crit D Mark 12 setup, I was able to get 33K because of the piloting that I'm doing. As I'm telling you, if you are going into things and you are going head in, so if this person here was my target, I'm going head in and I got beam arrays all around. I got 4 beam arrays that are not hitting the person. Okay? So you got 4 beam arrays that's not hitting the person. That's not doing any good. It's not until right here that this person now has 8 weapons that's focused on it. Okay? If you got beam arrays, you got to be looking at where you're at and where your target is. Your back weapon should be able to hit them just the same as the next. So that's one of the biggest things that helps out with your piloting is knowing what weapons you have versus where your target is. If your target's behind you, like now, your front weapons is not hitting them at all. One of the little tricks that you can do is you can highlight over your weapons and you can see that there's a little grid that's going around you showing you where the weapons end up at and where they start and stop, basically. If they are not able to hit the target in that area, you're not doing yourself any justice in trying to kill them in any way, shape, or fashion. The only thing that changes between weapon and weapon is the radius. Beam arrays have like a 250 degree arc. You get a, I believe, regular cannons gets a 100 degree arc. Wide angle torpedoes get a 100 degree arc. Torpedoes and dual beam banks, or not, torpedoes, dual beam banks all get 90 degree arcs. And then you have your dual heavy cannons and your dual cannons that's got a 45 degree arc. So that means in a 45 degree arc, they're right here where you got to be right in front of you pretty much. 90 degrees, you got a little bit more leeway, so you can pretty much have 2 targets almost all the time in your radius a lot easier than a 45 degree. So that's some of the things that needs to be remembered as far as what you're using for your weapons in game versus where your target is, so that you can ensure that you're hitting them when you need to be. The other thing that goes in, I mean, when it comes down to the items you choose for your ship isn't really going to matter. I mean, here I'm not even using my final items that I had planned for this particular captain. I have gone with some, in this case, items that I could get from a mission and something that I purchased off of the exchange for very cheap. And by very cheap, I mean it was like 15,000 EC. So that is some of those things that when it comes down to is it helps out, and it makes a difference picking your weapons versus what you have that you're using. Anything you can think of that you want to add to this, Timber?
I mean, you're hitting on all of it, and I'm reading Darth Womp. He's talking about switching from accuracy 3 disruptors to crit damage 3 plus something else AP beams. Well, the big thing is you can stick with disruptors if you want. Crit damage 3, typically your fourth modifier that really high DPS goes for is penetration, the pen mods. Me personally, my starter sets when I'm doing a build are crit damage 2, critical hit 2. It's a nice balance. You're getting a little bit of both, and it's a really nice starter set, but you can use any energy type. If you're just wanting to be able to do advanced Qs, anything works.
Yep.
So long as you're piloting, which this is the key of this, piloting is key. So
Yep.
you can make any energy type work. You can stick what you already have spent your EC or your fleet credits. You can stick with that. It just comes down to your piloting because, as Scott's been able to prove, he's done it in so many videos, and I've been able to prove as far as my DPS runs of ISA, piloting makes up so much of a difference that you can have the best gear in the game and not do anything with it. And you can have some of the most basic gear in the game and you can blow your competition out of the water.
Yep. And as you can see here, like in this particular ship here, one of the weapons here is a crit T times 2 over mod. I'm not saying that this is a good mod to go with and to use, actually. It just happened to be one of the ones that I chose to use and upgrade. I wasn't aiming to make this the perfect captain ship. I was thinking, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab 8 beams, and I'm going to have a little bit of a mix between the crit T times 2 over. I think I had a couple that I started off with at one point, even. And then a mix of whatever the weapons got when I upgraded them. Like here, I got a crit T times 2 damage over beam here, crit T times 3 crit H. So I started off with a couple of crit T times 3s, a couple didn't upgrade, a couple did, a couple went epic, most of them didn't, as you can see. And it's not really affecting like how much damage I'm doing. What is affecting how much damage I'm doing in the end is how I fly versus what I do. So here's a good question that came up in Twitch here. Possible to craft any omnidirectional beam arrays? Yes, it is possible to craft them. You have to have a level 15 beams school plus a duty officer who is capable of crafting the beams. And there's only a couple of them there's only a few of them that actually have the modification, or not the mod, but the skill to be able to do that. So you can craft the omnidirectional beam arrays and use that in your ship build. You saw my other captain that I had up just a moment ago. He has a omnidirectional and a proton beam array that I created myself. Took me a few times to get the mod that I wanted. In that case, it was a crit D mod. And I created it and crafted it, and then I upgraded it up to the epic level that it is now. Just once again, I've said this probably half a dozen times, and I'll probably say it a half dozen times more. Epic weapons and epic stuff is not necessary.
By no means.
It is not. And in fact, if you see me with my ancient omnidirectional beam that I picked up from one of the missions and my epic kinetic cutting beam, let me save you probably close to 500,000 or more dilithium each. Don't upgrade them past level 14. Don't do it. Save yourself the time, save yourself the effort. It is not really worth it. this is not. If you are OCD and you have to have everything at a gold level, and I'm sorry for those who are at that point and looking at this particular ship, because there is some blues and purples and uh, yeah, you got a mix of everything. Um, if you're that OCD and you got to have everything up to the gold level standard, then that is one thing for you. More power to you, but it really does not make or break your ship. Your piloting will make or break what you have. Your timing of things will make or break what you have. And then even further beyond this, the team you are with is really going to be the highest influence in the DPS realm of things. If you are with a team who has a bunch of what we could call junk starter gear, this is basically the stuff that the ship comes with. They get the ship, they unpack it, and they go on a mission because they like it that much. They didn't care to look at anything that was in the ship. They took it as is. No consoles, no nothing. Then you would have those problems. Okay, there's not much even a blank ship could do to really be beneficial. There's not much that those ships can do at a stock level like that. Um, even with the best of hands, they will still have several issues that will go on, and you have to definitely plan for what you put on your ship, because what you put on your ship is as important as how you fly the ship. If you're flying a 5-2 ship, like I was flying earlier, and you're attacking your enemy and you're behind you the entire time, guess what? You got 5 weapons that's not hitting them. The only exception to this rule is if you happen to be flying turrets. And,
oh God.
And it can be done. I'm not going to say that is impossible to do, because you can do a turret setup and still be able to do enough damage to kill things. But you better be prepared for a bunch of energy drain on your weapons for that to happen. Going real quick here, once again, this is a question from Twitch here, asking what the ACDM means. That is a epic level boost. And the epic level boost gives you a, we'll pull it up here real quick. So as you see here, let me get in the window actually. At the bottom, you'll see that it has 10% accuracy. That is part of that AC. The other part is a DM boost, which is like a 10, 15, or 20, somewhere in that level of damage increase that it does. So that is one of those. So that is what the epic level boost does. Like I said, the accuracy and the damage boost that you get from the epic level weapons, not worth it. Even the epic level deflector, impulse engine, warp engine, or singularity core if you're Romulan, and the shields, really is not worth it. I would recommend, this is one of those exceptions, I would recommend spending the time to take your consoles that you can upgrade to epic level.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, without a doubt, because at epic level, your tactical locators, if you're using those, will get 2%, not 2%, we'll get a 0.2 increase in the crit chance that it gives you. And it actually might be I thought these were 2.2. Well, either way, it gives you an increase more than if it was a mark increase. So it is definitely worth doing it. Plus, it gives you phaser damage increase, or your weapon damage increase. And then science consoles, definitely worth getting those up to epic level, because that will do significantly more damage as well on that aspect. I think my epics on the science consoles is doing about 7,000 plasma damage. So each of this will help you out with your ship and what your ship is capable of doing. This is not one of those things that you should be thinking about skimping on. I would make sure that your consoles are all in the epic level. They are cheap to do,
Most of them.
Most of them. The reputation consoles is where it gets expensive. If you do it right, and if you can't afford this, this is what I did for every single one of mine that's on Epic on my other captain, is I had a stack, and by a stack, I'm talking close to 500 of each of these. I had 1.5 quality accelerators, and I used those on my consoles. I started with the TAC ones. I used those on my consoles. I got that up to 15% quality chance, and then from that 50% quality chance, I turn around and I put in 1.5 tech point accelerators and just rush the level. The increase that it did to me is I was now spending about half the amount of dilithium to upgrade my consoles, and I was upgrading it twice as fast. Okay, that's what I did. You don't necessarily have to do this. This is what I did because A, I had the stacks, and B, I knew it was going to be expensive to upgrade stuff. So that's one way that you can do this. The other way you can do this, if you had the Omega Traces that you gathered and accumulated, those is another way that you could use because they give a significant increase on the tech points and on the quality chance, and they are worth using. I would definitely recommend putting a quality accelerator in there if you can, as much as possible, to get the biggest bonus out of those Omega kits. Those things were huge to upgrade with because they're basically they're basically two experimental kits that you're playing at one time, and it costs 0 dilithium to apply those kits. So those were a huge thing. I suspect, and I hope, I should say I hope Cryptic will bring this event back in because it was that beneficial to the players.
Well, and I think they will, for the simple fact, when we did this new mission that we have that just came out, one of the things that we saw was that mini game come back. Now, it was in its most basic form and really couldn't do anything with it, but it shows that they're trying to reuse something they put in the game. I'm really hopeful for them doing that.
Yes. So a question that we got here on Twitch, I use a conducive RCS accelerator, negative 10% incoming damage while turning. Do you think that's good? I use the conducive RCS console on this particular ship, and on a couple of others, I get ones that either have a EPS mod on it so that it will boost my power transfer, which helps out with your it's just your power transfer that helps out with. So from going from one system to the next, for example, when you're hitting the your full impulse and you're going back from that, is putting your weapon power back up to max as quick as it can. So it is definitely worth using that for. If you're a science build, I recommend getting the particle generators because most of the time with a science build captain, you have Gravity Well, Tychon's Rift, or your tractor beam repulsors. So you definitely want to be using a combination of one of those three skills to help out with your science build. So those are some of the things that definitely recommend going in.
Yeah, Darth is reminding us of the day when single cannon turret Excelsior builds and assault cruiser builds were one of the big things.
Yep. That was one of those things. A while ago, and this wasn't actually that long ago. This is with the Voth Bastion cruiser. One of my friends set up the colors just right and put on anti-proton turrets on the thing. Fired the ship and actually looked like the one of the cruisers from Star Wars.
Oh, really?
It was looked pretty awesome. It had the right colors and everything, and it looked like it was shooting lasers at me as it was going in. But what made it even more interesting is it was doing significant damage as it was coming in.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was surprised. And this was a PvP build. She asked me, she said, I need you on your tank. I says, all right, I'll get my tank out. So I got my tank out. And this ship at the time had close to 95,000 hull on it. So I had beefed it up just right for that, and so I could take any amount of damage for a good period of time. And that was kind of a fun build. But just like PvP, you have to be very good in your piloting, and it's your piloting that matters on things. Once again, it's not necessarily the weapons that you have; it's how you're using your ship. So, 10 o'clock. Here we go. So, with that, just as a reminder for those of you who are looking to improve yourself and to if you're struggling with something, if you got a mission that you can't do, you can't complete, or if you have we're on there with a nice beautiful shot here. Sorry, a little distraction there. But if you happen to be trying to get into the 10K channels or into the 20K range or 30K, 50K, 75K, please do yourself a favor and us, because we'll help you out and it'll give us more stuff to do besides just us sitting here talking about some basic tips on things. Record yourself in whatever mission it is. It could be a mission like I did from the storyline. It could be one of the cute events. Any way, anything that you have that you want to get help on, please record yourself. There's a bunch of free software out there that you can record your mission or run with and be able to submit it into our website at sto-ota.org. And you can, from there, go to the left side and go to Pilot Review. And then please submit it in with your ship build on stoacademy.com. And we will add it into a show. And if you are able to make it, we definitely want you there because it gives us interactive. We can get your feedback and what you are trying to do with the build, what your goal is in the end. We want to know those things so that we can cater your list of suggestions to you specifically, so that they're not just a generic thing. Because that's what we're trying not to do. We're trying not to do generic ideals and generic things of what you should be doing. We want you to feel like this is directed at you, and that's really what this is for: is to direct these things at you yourself, the player, so that you can become a better captain piloting and be able to learn how to make the most out of your ship to be able to take it to that next level. And that next level could just be something very simple that you're not doing that we might see. Thank you for joining us. We'll have as always, we'll have an after show discussion on a few things. Me and Timber will be talking about some things. And answering any other questions that we see in the two Twitch and YouTube chats. At this point, our show, we're going to go ahead and conclude it. Thank you for joining us. We do definitely appreciate it, and we'll see you Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eventually, I might have to look at using my broadcast client to do this.
Yeah.
And then we'll might end up using the TeamSpeak that I have, and because as it's pointed out that someone pointed out with Odin's show with Hangouts is if you make a flub or make a mistake or an error, there's no editing in Hangouts. It's just you end it, you exit it, and it's published. It's already out there in the web.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's nice in that way, but if there's no editing in those factors that goes on.
Are we still on the air, by the way?
Yes, we are still in the air. So we're recording this.
Okay, I'll just make sure.
Yep.
We've got Dark Womp. He was our primary viewer here on YouTube, and he said he's going to probably submit a build either tonight or tomorrow.
Awesome. We'll get you if you're able to. We definitely can get you in Saturday. Otherwise, we'll get you in the next available time. Saturday will be the next show. If we can get you on that, we'll definitely get you there.
I mean, I'd love to see these single cannon turret builds.
Yeah, I love to see people bringing out these unique builds. I was hoping to get Odin on tonight so we could go over his torpedo, but I think he had a couple of things that he was doing, so we'll catch him at a later time and show. So going to a question that came out from Twitch, going on my 95,000 tank that I had, that came on a engineering style ship that, in this case, I believe it was the Advanced Obelisk that I used that had the 5 engineering slots. And I fill those 5 engineering slots up with mine consoles that gave the biggest boost to the hull. That ship was not designed to deal damage. It was designed to be able to take the damage, and it had a ridiculously high resistance rate as a cause and effect of that consoles that I used for this purpose. I used it in PvP at the time, and I set it up so that I could basically try and be the first one that people will hit and attack, while my little escorts friends, they would come in from the sides and be able to take them on and be able to take full advantage of them focusing on me that had plenty of hull and plenty of heals from being an engineer. So that was one of the things I did used to PvP for a little while. I've stopped that. I'm no longer nearly as good as I used to be. And in fact, I don't even think I was good all that much. I had people say, "Hey, you're very good." And I was like, I get my butt kicked in cases. I had one person I used to go with all the time and challenge one-on-one, and I had always get the floor mopped, and didn't matter what I did and what I tried, and go to a couple of my fleet mates, and I'd be mopping the floor with them. I'm going to stop presenting here so I can do a couple of things.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, that's some of the things that is capable of being done. And you know what I'd love to do is, find some of these people that's having these struggles, especially like if they got a torpedo build that they're trying to do and they're struggling, and then we say, "Hey, Odin, we got someone that's struggling on torpedo build. Come on the show with us." Or someone that's trying to build a tank and can't get the tank to do any DPS. You say, "Hey, Mr. Valican,
yeah,
Mr. Tank, hey, come help out with this. You got the tips, you got the knowledge. Let's show this person how to be a real tank on this aspect." So those are the things I'm hoping to be able to do in the future. I'm certain pulling him in for something like that would be quite easy, because he was all over trying to push out my channel to his followers. So it's one of the things that he asked me to do before I left the DPS channel, TeamSpeak, was to give him the information so he can push it out to his people. So, but that's one of the things that I hope that in the future, as we get these builds and submissions, that we can find those people who are trying to get to the next level and connect them up with people who have succeeded, whether it be us or whether it be someone that we pull in on the show for that one time.
Yeah.
So that's the entire aspect, because we may know someone that is capable of making this build bigger than what it is, and may may know something that we don't know about a specific type of setup. So that's really what I'm hoping. The end goal is to reach out and branch out for those members to help them accomplish their wishes and desires.
Oh yeah, I've been emailing Darth Proteus because he's got a fantastic fleet experimental science vessel build that he's maxing out. I believe it's plasma damage, and I think it's plasma exotic build with that ship. I really want that because that build was fantastic.
Yeah, he was in the TeamSpeak on the with the DPS channel earlier that I saw, but that's some of those things. There's so many different ways of doing these things. So Saturday, if we get Darth Womp to submit, we'll go over his build Saturday. Otherwise, we'll hopefully have Snipey on with us. He's got some admin things that he's taking care of with the DPS channel and Fiasco stuff that he's dealing with. So hopefully we can get. We'll either have Darth Womp that builds that we'll go over, or we will be going over a couple things for Snipey on some of the queued events. In this case, Borg Disconnected, Elite, or Volt Ensnared. So we'll be going over that with him.
Yeah, I can't wait to do Vault Ensnared tutorial because that was a nice run, and to do Ensnared Advanced to show people how to do that, it's gonna be really nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different aspects of that one mission alone that makes it a very fluid method of working. Talking is hard. Yeah, so if you're able to make it, Darth, that's great. If not, I'll be reaching out and communicating with you directly to try and get more information on what you're trying to do, and we can exclude you from that show at that time. But hopefully by Saturday you'll be fine. Otherwise, we could also push you to next week on next Thursday instead, and then go over plans this Saturday with Snipey to go over BDE and Volt Ensnared. So that's not going to affect a whole lot of things as far as that. If we wanted to do that, give you a week so you can recover from your strep, we'll definitely work around your schedule. Because like I said, I definitely want you to be here, because the live feedback, the live interaction, that's going to be huge for you. That's going to be huge because of the fact that you're not just listening to us discuss what we would do in your situation, but we're actually going to be talking to you, interacting with you, and saying, here's what so you did this. You explain what's your idea behind it and such. So and that's one of the reasons why we want to have you on the show with us anytime. Even if you people viewing it, we definitely want you on there, and welcome to join us anytime, so that we can make sure that we understand what you're accomplishing, and if there's a reason and a logic for what you're doing as well, because there might be a reason you're going behind the enemy and you got 2 weapons that's pointing at them instead of your 6 or 5 or whatever else that you have, depending on your weapon setup. So we definitely want to make sure that we know what you're doing and why you're doing it, so that we're not giving you bad advice, because that's the last thing that we need, is to give you advice that is not important to, I should say, important to what you are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, if anything, we just want to make sure if you're wanting a specific build, tell us what it is, and we'll work with that. And we might not be that knowledgeable on it, but we'll make for sure that we can make it work for you.
Yep, and at the very worst, we'll find someone that we know that knows those type of things, because I know people who are great science people who are getting 60k DPS science with science skills. They're not using, and in one case, they were able to get 40 to 50,000 with just science skills alone.
And we know torpedo builds that can do 50, 60k. It's some of these builds you have to understand. They're, you can put them together, you can throw them together, and be doing 30k tomorrow. There's other builds that require very specific traits, very specific specialization points. I mean, you name it, it is specialized. It goes so far even as timing of the abilities, but they can still do massive amounts of DPS. It's all on what you want to run and how involved you're willing to be to do that run.
Yep, exactly. And that's one of those things that we're trying to do, because part of piloting, it isn't just about like hitting your weapons and hitting your skills. It's about knowing where to be, when to be there, how to be facing in those situations, and then what combinations of what you're doing is perfect for the right situation. When we do Infected Space Advance, for example, we're not just going in there all guns blazing at the very start. We're actually only doing a few skills at the very start for the higher DPS runs. And then as we go to the left side, that's when we go on all guns blazing.
Absolutely. And then there's always a power spike at the end because all the abilities have finally reset, hopefully, with what way we've stacked everything. And then we can have everything maxed out again. And it takes tremendous, not just piloting, but also positioning for some of these runs of where to be. I mean, currently I'm working on an idea. Once we can get everything situated and we can parse and all that, I have an idea that might be able to do 100k on my Tactical Odyssey. And that's probably pushing the limits to some degree. I don't even know if it can be done because I haven't seen it. I mean, there's probably someone that's done it, but I haven't seen it. I want to see if I can do 100k with more or less the resources that the average player can get, maybe average slash every day. Because I consider myself a casual player despite what I can do, but I'm not to the level like Scott Ross or Spencer, where they've been around for years. They've had those kind of materials. I've only been around for a year. But the fact that within a year I can be at the level I'm at shows it just takes a little bit of work each and every day and a little bit of piloting practice each and every day. And it might not be tomorrow, but you will be surprised at what it will do for you long term.
Yep. I should also point out for those who are still listening at this point, if you're, especially if you're looking for DPS, it is not necessary to have a T5U ship or have a T6 ship and get 10k to 75k DPS. Let me give you a case in point. I have a captain who's flying a plain T5 tactical Audi ship. Top DPS so far is 41k. She's level 58, so she still has plenty of room for growth. There's a lot that I can do with her still, as far as getting her spec points and getting her, especially space flanking, getting her full intel, her pilot tree, because that makes it, those both will make a huge difference in what she does. And then the other thing that I can do is I can fine tune the beam arrays that she has, so they're all crit D times 3 pen epic weapons versus the crit D times 2 damage pin weapon that she has, and the other weapons that didn't crit D when I went ultra rare. And then I still got the consoles that I can still take up from their default level up into the epic range. So I think I still got a couple that's at Mark 12s, if I recall on that. So
Yeah.
we're talking a T5 Audi that is doing 41K. My estimate when I get done with that ship will probably end up being close to 75 to 80K as a T5.
Yeah. And see, for me, the big thing is I don't have any pin modifiers. My best run was 61K in my T5U Audi, and I'm running crit damage 3, critical hit 1. So I don't have the pin modifiers. I don't have everything at Epic. I'm not running the Iconian sets. I wasn't running with Iconian sets on any of my allies. There's the piloting as far as positioning. There's so much room for improvement, but once it's there, I mean, just piloting alone, I think Scott's shown this in a video. Piloting alone with Mark II gear can get 20K, 30K. That alone is tremendous. You start adding in abilities, you start adding in the right weapons, the right statistics, the right skill points, specializations. That jumps tremendously fast. You wouldn't even believe how fast that would go up.
Yep. So 22K pre-DR, that's not bad. That's enough. Even now, you should still be doing close to that with the um, with everything that's happened since DR has gone in to be able to still get 22K, and you might find yourself doing higher than that as a result of many of the changes. Pre-DR, the top DPS run that there was 89K with Tetrons.
Really?
Yes. This was even while crafting was out and available. So this is one of those things to take into effect that it was a Tetron beam that was in the top of the run. He used Tetrons as the weapon of choice for this particular case, and he hit the Tetron Cascade, which was in a group of spears at the time that had all been grouped together, if I recall, and it hit for many top spike hits. Like we're talking, it had a bunch that was in the 200K range to 300K. So
Yeah.
this is a specific type of build. This is one of those top runs that you may never see again because it was done with a specific group and planned to occur just perfectly. Okay. But it doesn't take antiprotons to be good enough to do anything in any of the mission runs. You can do them with any sort of energy weapons. You pick what you prefer to use, and you'll be fine. You really will be. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and end the post-show discussion here. Hopefully, we got enough information here going on that it helps you out with a few things beyond and above the piloting stuff. That's really what I want this post-show to be about, is to go into those other areas, and we definitely have done that and covered that in this. And that's why I keep it recording. I will probably continue doing some Twitch streaming later on today. I'm going to take a break for a little bit and have a couple more discussions with some of the DPS admins to kind of go into some things with them if they got any things that's come up. But until Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we hope to see you all again. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you for those of you who are watching this on the YouTube channel after it's been recorded. We appreciate your time and effort to watch our show, no matter how long or how short it may be in some of the opinions. We appreciate your time and effort on this. Thank you, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
You have a question from Darth Womp as far as your Twitch channel. So you might want to message him about that.
I will do that real quick. That's easy enough. For those on Twitch, my handle is at SARoss0219. So you just go to twitch.com/SARoss0219. And let's see if I can. Here we go. Had to put spaces in there, so this makes sure to remove those spaces and you'll be fine. Twitter channel. I do have Twitter, but I don't post anything still related on Twitter. So, but there's a Twitch on there. I'm going to include it also in the notes on this in the end. Thank you very much, everyone. Once again, have a nice day.